Welcome to this channel. I'm your teacher Candela. So today we want to concentrate on mathematics, specifically calculus. Introduction to calculus. Now, you need to understand that calculus itself carries 8 marks of the total 180 marks. So paper 1, calculus contributes 2 marks. Paper 2, calculus contributes 6 marks, giving you a total of 80 marks here. Now, calculus is concerned with finding what is known as the limits, gradient functions. Sometimes we can use calculus also to evaluate the area. But today our focus is on this type of calculus known as differential calculus, differentiation or differential calculus. So differential calculus is concerned with finding the gradient function. Not using the ordinary way of coordinate geometry, but now here we are using the dy dx, chain rule, product, quotient methods to come up with a gradient function. But today we'll concentrate on the first part of calculus, that is looking at dy dx. So with me here I have 3 questions. We'll do the first and the second, probably the last question you will practice and attempt. So to start with, the general formula for most differential method or calculus is if y is equals to ax to the power n, then dy dx will be, you drop the n, which is the power of x, multiply it with the a, which is the coefficient of x, reduce the n by 1. So you have a general formula which is the n a x n minus 1. This n is a power of x, then a is a coefficient of x. If it was a number, let's say n is 5, it will be 5 times a. If a is a 2, it will be 5 times 2, giving you 10x. On top, it will be 5 minus 1, giving you x to the power 4. So we want to use this to evaluate these questions which I have here. Also, you need to understand that any number that is raised, any positive integer raised to the power 0 is a number itself. That is it's 1. That is a to the power 0, you get 1. So any number to the power 0, any positive integer to the power 0, the answer is 1. Again, when you have a negative power, you can convert the index into positive by introducing a 1 on top over a. So make sure you pay attention to these basics: the dy dx, the 0 power, the negative power. So let's go, we see this one. So the first question here, we have y is equals to 2x to the power 3 minus x to the power 2 minus 3x plus 5. Now, for us to find the dy dx here, we are going to say dy dx is equal to, we have to divide x each term, this term, that term, and that term, and that term. So here, according to this formula here, we are saying drop the power. So the power of x here is 3. 3 will drop here. In the brackets, we have 2x to the power 3 minus z. We reduce the power by 1. So we shall say minus 1. The sign here is minus z. Here the power of x is 2. So 2 will drop. In the brackets will remain with x to the power 2 minus z 1 as well. We come to this one. Now, when you look at this, this is 3x. The power of x in this case is 1. So meaning, the power of x which is 1, we are going to drop it here. Then in the brackets, we'll put 3x, 1 minus 1. Then we close the brackets. What it means now is that we need to go back to another fact. The other fact is that whenever you have a constant number here, like the 5 here, the dy dx of any constant is 0. The dy dx of any constant is 0. So where there's 5 here, we'll put a 0. Then when we come here, you discover that this 3 has to multiply with the coefficient of x. Here, what we did, a times n, which is a times n. The power is n times a, which is the coefficient, which you now will have this one, 3 times 2, that is 6. 3 minus 1 on top, you remain with x to the power 2. That's what we are following. You remain with x to the power 2. It has reduced from 3. The power of 3 there, it has reduced to the power of what? 2. Then you come here. 2, here the coefficient of x is 1. So 2 times 1, it will give you 2, which is, it will be 2x. Now, 2 minus 1, that is 2 on top, where the power of x is 2 minus 1, it will give you x to the power 1. So it will give you x to the power 1. But we know that any number, from the indices rule, we know that any number a to the power 1 is a number itself. A to the power 1 is a number what? Itself. So even as we're going to say x to the power 1 is x itself here. That's why the answer becomes 2x. Then we come to this one. We have minus here the sign. So what is 1 times 3? You get 3. Then 1 minus 1, the power of x is 1 minus 1. So 1 minus 1, we end up getting x to the power 0. Then when we go back here, you see that any number to the power 0, any positive integer to the power 0 is equals to 1. Meaning where there is x here, we are going to remain with 1. That 1 times 3, it will give us what? A 3. Then we say plus 0. But then when you say plus 0, it's as good as you have nothing. So your answer ends here. That is your final answer, your dy dx. So the dy dx of 2x to the power 3 minus x to the power 2 minus 3x plus 5 is equals to 6x squared minus 2x minus 3. As you can see, we are just multiplying 3 times 2, that is 6x. 6x. 3 minus 1, that is x to the power 2. 2 times x here, 2x. 2 minus 1, x to the power 1 is x itself. Here, 1 times 3, it's a 3. 1 minus 1, 0. X to the power 0, it's 1, which is that. Dy dx of any constant, 0. So that is how it has come to be there. Let's hope we have followed that. Next, we have question 2 here. That is our question 2. Question 2, it has a negative power, as you can see here. Remember, the basics is that when you are adding integers that have the same sign, you add and maintain the what? The sign. So somewhere there, we're going to do that. So you come here, you say dy dx of this. So we're going to have x to the power 3 minus 3x to the power negative 2 plus x here. So here, we're going to come here and say, okay, here the power of x is 3. So 3 will multiply with the coefficient of x, in this case is 1, which will give us 3x. Then what is 3 minus 1? It will read us into a 2. You come here next. Here the power is negative. So we're going to open the brackets like that and close, then open and put this term, which is 3x negative 2 minus 1. So this one, it requires that now we maintain the signs. Since we are adding, we are subtracting here, they are same sign, we maintain the sign. So here it is dy dx of x, power of x here is 1. 1 minus 1, 0. X to the power 0 is what? 1. So you follow like that. Then here you remain with 3x squared. But here it will be negative times negative, leading us into a positive sign. Then 2 times 3, you get a 6x. So here it will be, since the signs are the same, we shall say 1 plus 2 to give us 3. Then sign, it will maintain as negative 3. Then this side, we have our 1. Your final answer should not have a negative power. So we have to remove the negative power by coming back to this, which we said a negative index can be written into positive by raising the power, introducing a 1 on top. So here we're going to introduce a 1. When we introduce a 1, we have 3x squared plus 6 times 1 over x to the power 3 plus 1. But this 6 times 1 over x to the power 3 can be written as 3x squared plus 6 times 1, it will be 6 on top, over x to the power what? To the power 3. Then plus 1. That will be your final what? Your final answer. So you also follow here, you discover that all we did was just to drop this power, which is 3. 3 times x, that is a 3x. What is 3 minus 1? That is x to the power 2. Then negative times negative, it has changed to positive. Then 2 times 3, that is a 6 on top. To remove the negative, which I said here, negative 3 was being removed. Then negative 2 minus 1, they have the same sign. So that is as good as doing what? You add and maintain the sign, which we maintain the sign, and it was a negative 3. But now your final answer cannot have a negative power. That's why we raised this 6 on top by introducing a 1 on top, which is 6 over x to the power 3. Here, x, divide the x of x is as good as power is 1. 1 minus 1, you get 0. X to the power 0, it's 1. That's where the 1 is coming from here. Then the other question, the final question that I have, I wanted you to do it on your own, but then I'm going to help you this one since it has a fraction. Like I show you that you need to convert it back to the original before you proceed with the dy dx. So the way this question is, we are not going to dy dx direct here, but we'll rewrite this first to a negative power. Remember the way we raised a 6 here from 6x to the power negative 3 to 6 on top over x to the power 3. So even this one, they have already given it as 1 over x. So we have to remove the 1 and retain the negative power of x, which this now means we are going to have x plus x to the power negative 1. So to do that now, that's when now we can group the powers and divide x the way we have done for question 1 and question 2. So here we are now going to say dy dx is equal to, here the power of x is 1. So since the power of x is 1, we are going to drop a 1 here. In the brackets, we are going to say 1 minus 1, we close, plus. Here, the sign, the power is negative 1. Negative 1 will come and drop here. So when negative 1 drop here, we'll have negative 1 in the brackets because the signs cannot follow each other. So we put it in the brackets. Then we'll have x in the brackets to the power negative 1 minus 1. We are reducing it by 1. So here you end up having a situation where now you have 1 minus 1, that is a power, it will be x to the power 0. X to the power 0, we have already seen from the previous question that any number to the power 0, that is a positive number to the power 0, the answer is 1. So x to the power 0, it will be 1. So 1 times 1 here will remain with the 1 plus. Yeah, I'm trying to write big ones so that you can see. Here you have negative times this one, which will give us negative x to the power. Now these, they have the same sign, meaning we add and maintain the sign, which will give us a 2. Then you have equals. Remember to always indicate, put your equal sign. I emphasize to my students always to say equal sign is part of the mathematical structure. It shows the flow of your working. It shows the flow of working. So put your equal sign properly. So you have 1 positive times negative will result into a negative. Then here we have x to the power negative 2. But we can't leave our answer into a negative power, meaning you write your final answer as 1 minus, introduce a 1 on top, which will be 1 over x to the power 2. That will be your final answer. It's always a pleasure. It's yours, Candy B, a maths teacher, Prime Academy. For more, search for that at our YouTube channel for more of these interesting stuffs, or call us 0971 66 45 17. For me, it's bye bye. It's Ichongetwe.